Yeah, great to be having this collaboration. A few questions here. I guess the goal here is to try and tell the story of how important
Mm.
Rotary Club of St. John's, now Rotary Club of St. John's Ellerslie, um, was in making Onza now a reality.
One of the things that Rotary does um, at scale and powerfully is provide leverage into the equation by connecting with the Rotary Foundation, which is an international affiliate organisation of Rotary that provides funding for worthy projects. One of the hardest parts for any new philanthropic community spirited organisation is the seed money to support the establishment and growth of a great idea that you presented. And that's where Rotary really stepped up and provided, can I describe it as risk capital, to, to basically provide essentially working capital funding while you were growing the project, setting up your program, setting up your first cohort. Um, that, as I said, that really hard stuff where there's no incoming, it's all outgoing. Because at the time Rotary got involved, you had an idea, which was to engage with some of the world's poorest but brightest students and um, create a wave or a pathway of funding through education that was otherwise unavailable to these young people,
Mm.
but underpinned by the pay it forward model, which was, hey, if we can create a serious career opportunity for these young people who were otherwise, many of them were resigned to, despite being incredibly bright, because their parents couldn't afford the um, the additional investment that is required in Madagascar. You came in and you filled that gap. You actually tapped into their potential. You provided them with, high impact learning in coding and English, um, to make them to lift their skills, to create a career pathway for them, but most importantly, to create a business platform that very rapidly became self-funding.
I was in Madagascar, had this grand plan, exactly as you've described,
Mm,
and there was a gap, which is funding. So
mm,
my big priority was trying to get funding, raise money for it. And at that stage, I went back to New Zealand and tried to raise money. I can't remember the exact details, but I remember feeling like, oh, I'm not getting anywhere. New Zealand is just behind. They're not advanced or forwards thinking enough to be into something as innovative as this. I'm going to the US.
mm,
So I booked a flight and
mm,
went to San Francisco, where I stayed with my friend for 2 months. And there, I went to the foundations that advertise themselves as being open to risk and early stage high impact ventures. And I went and knocked
mm,
on all of their doors. This is Silicon Valley. You'd expect to be
mm,
the most
mm,
open to innovation, right? Went and knocked on all of their doors. They were so surprised to see me, and virtually every one of them said, "Thanks for coming, but no, you're far too early and risky.
yeah,
So we're not
yeah.
having. Come back to us once you have something working in 3 years' time."
Proof of
Yeah.
concept. Yeah.
So I left the US with a grand total of $300 or something in donations. Um,
Yeah.
And I think I went back to Madagascar at that point, started the crowdfunding, then came back to New Zealand to try and fundraise again. And that's at the time I started speaking at a few different Rotary clubs and
Mhm.
then connected with you, which
Yep.
maybe leads us on to when was the first time you heard about Onza and what did you think?
When I met with you, Sam, in 2017, I'd already had a bit of a briefing on what you were endeavouring to do, the fact that you were looking for some risk capital to launch an idea that you'd invested several years of your own life into. I was particularly impressed with the fact that you had set aside a high-paying, very successful New Zealand career to look to support other young people with equal intellect, but an absence of opportunity and access to funding to further their careers. I was particularly interested and motivated by the fact that you were looking to create a career pathway, and not only that, a sustainable career pathway for young people. I got you to come and present your proposal to my Rotary Club, and in advance of that, I did a bit of pre-work. Rotary is essentially club focused throughout the world. It's an international organisation, but most of the decision making and capability from people who are interested in altruism, in community, in supporting young people, is one of their key tenets. They were fascinated by Sam's story and the investment of your time and skill to make it happen, Sam. They're also very moved by the fact that you had basically deprived yourself of a very successful, comfortable career in New Zealand to move internationally to help far less advantaged community of people. And I guess that generosity of spirit from you, Rotary picked up on that. Certainly the members of my club did. And how Rotary works, as I said, it's a collection of clubs based around the world, but there is a Rotary International organisation, and all Rotarians typically pay an annual subscription or an annual fee to support what they describe as the Rotary Foundation. It's administered by Rotary International, which is based out of Chicago. But it's valued. It's a fund that is built up into hundreds of millions of dollars, US dollars, over the years, and the Rotarians and clubs are always looking for a good home for that capital. And Sam's proposal was compelling. Unlike most proposals presented to Rotary seeking support, Sam actually presented a proposal that involved 2 to 3 years of preliminary investment before the project and the proposal became self-funding. And that was the essence of Onja. It was the fact that with the advantage and investment in education, and very young, very talented people who did not have in the absence of that funding, did not have an ability to further their skills, and were often consigned to low value work. Sam, through his proposal, created a pathway. True to form, with the benefit of that explanation, with Sam's passion, with proof of concept, because you had actually invested time, and I think you had a small cohort up and underway. Rotary became involved. They understood the proposal. They understood the outcome your vision. They understood that, and they were prepared to invest in you, Sam, and the proposal.
Surely in your mind, what percentage chance, am I allowed to ask that? Did you think this is not actually going to work?
Sam, one thing I've learned in my life is that, all successful business, doesn't matter what it is, it's about people. And when you see somebody like you, with your capability, with your intellect, with your passion, that were prepared to actually, look, it would have been different if you'd come to us, Sam, and said, oh, by the way, I'd like to pay myself a stipend of $100,000 a year to get this underway. The fact that you were very generous and very modest in terms of your own, remuneration requirements, you set that aside with an eye for what does the future look like. And a lot of young people wouldn't do that or couldn't do that. And that was a huge, for me, when I'm assessing, is an enterprise or an organisation or a proposal worth supporting, a crucial question I will ask is, what is the level of skin in the game, if I could use that expression? What's the skin in the game that this person or this founder is prepared to invest to actually enable this. And in your case, as I said, you put huge personal skin in the game, and that was very reassuring to certainly my Rotary Club, but also Rotary internationally. What they saw as somebody who was actually committed to making something happen, committed to very modest, to keeping expenditure very modest, whilst you proved proof of concept. You gave us excellent update reports, Sam, on your progress. You kept us apprised. You actually, to your credit, you set targets, and you over-delivered on your targets, whether that was recruitment or cost management or arranging accommodations, or establishing your teaching cohort. All of the things that you said you would do, you did, and you did on time, and you did on budget. There are so many great ideas out there. There are so many requests for funding to enable great ideas, but very few of them are approved. And particularly, very few of them are approved at an arm's length commercial transaction. And I think that's where Rotary stepped up. It actually delivered, because one of Rotary key themes and is supporting youth and supporting education and young people. And your project just ticks so many boxes, Sam. And supporting those who are disadvantaged. You painted a picture for Rotary that was understandable, that was reasonable, that was conservative, and that was worth supporting. So, take great pride in that. And it was your presentations to our club. It was the fact, again, coming back, it was the fact that you were prepared to sacrifice so much personally to deliver this project, that you got the support. So that's
coming from my perspective. All I really had in mind was trying to, let's say, we have the Rotary Club, and I'm presenting. My goal was to present the vision as clearly as possible, in a very convincing way that makes people want to help. But you're saying actually it was much of it was actually just about the person, and in that case, it's me myself. I think that's a really good learning, and that continues to this day. Like I look at our team, and I really think we could do anything, because we have a great team and great people. We could do something completely different, and I think we would nail it. And
yeah,
and it's the same, I guess, from my perspective of you, because I also sort of, I guess, had this idea with foundations and funders is that, we are us, we're Onja, and they are them, and that's their building over there. But actually, it was much more about relationships, and
yes, it was.
personally, like getting to know you very well, and I guess earning your trust. And it was Simon and I, if you know what I mean. It wasn't me and that foundation. It was Simon and I making this happen. It was very much like personal, and not just with you and I, but with the club.
A huge part of the support that you secured, Sam, was relationship based. It was people based.
Yes, absolutely.
Look, the concept is particularly important, but guess what? 95% of successful businesses are successful because of people and how they contribute to a vision. What you were able to do was articulate the vision in a way that was understandable and relatable, and that was crucial. The second piece of it was integrity and trust.
And something else that I think is really great that you picked up on is the background of yourself, Gary and Kevin, like all very seasoned business professionals. Like you've been the CEO of how many companies, and that really adds up into smart decision making, whether that's in the business world or in the social impact world. So I think I was very lucky that you, Gary, and Kevin could pick up on on the sustainability aspect, which is essentially underpinned by
Yeah,
business, and understood, oh,
yeah,
there's power in that. That can work. Um,
yeah,
so I think
yeah.
that's a,
And that's
also
what I
a
must
very
say,
key
Sam.
aspect.
That's a great point to
Mm,
circle back to. But so many in my years in Rotary, and I've been a Rotarian for 25 years now. Um, so often there's great programs that Rotary support, and indeed the foundation of Rotary support, but the beneficiaries just come back year after year seeking further top up funding.
mm,
And that was one of the things that really cut through red tape, cut through decision making. There was some skepticism, I must say, Sam, about the ability for Onja to become cash flow positive as early as you projected. Um, but it was a crucial enabler in terms of decision making, and I think that's a way forward for future. I think if you want to grow a program and bring scale to a program, if that isn't always reliant on annual handouts, if I could describe them as that,
mm,
from funders, uh, that becomes wearying. It's all very well in the good years when economies are booming and
mm,
there's free cash flow. But I tell you what, when there's not, um, you've got a much more vulnerable organisation
mm,
when it requires annual funding top-ups from an investor group. That was a crucial differentiator in your proposal.
mm,
And again, it was one that captured both the imagination and support and a degree of skepticism from the early stage investors, and that's where Rotary sat. So to be able to actually demonstrate, to walk the talk, the way you did that, as I said, you can be really proud of that. So congratulations.
Thanks so much, Simon. And so you mentioned very
Thanks.
interestingly some skepticism coming up. I'm
Yeah,
interested to know how you overcame that as a barrier.
I just said life is full of risks, Sam.
Okay.
But quite true. I mean, it's just there is.
Mm,
I'll tell you one thing in life and business. Every single decision carries risk. Okay, every single decision. What successful business people do is consider that risk, weigh it, but then make a decision, because there is no risk-free decision in any business, let alone in or a charitable
mm,
um, entity, or such as yours. There is no decision that is free of risk. So risk should always be considered. One of the challenges you have that I experience in business is that some people get wrapped up in risk, and it's all they can focus on. In fact, it's quite easy, I must say, in business, to settle on risk and to overblow that risk, or to over attribute that risk. It actually, in some respects, I've come across many professionals who use that risk management as a basis to avoid decision making, or a reason not to do something, or a reason to kick the can down the road. That's poor risk management. I mean, clearly, if the fundamentals don't stack up, and that's pretty. Somebody who's reasonably experienced will pretty quickly pick up on that, and you don't do that. But as I said, every single business decision, including funding Onja, comes with risk. The trick is to think about, what does the future look like, and when there is risk at play, probably the most important thing for me has always been to go to the people. So who are the people? Where is the passion? Where is the vision? Where is the evidence that this person or group of people will actually have the resilience, the skill, and the insight to navigate it, to move forward. And you gave the Rotary team, Sam, great comfort that you had those skills, and you had a team around you that would assist you when required as well.
how has it been watching Onza grow and change over the years, and knowing that you had a very important role to play there?
Look, very simply, awesome. I mean, it's been Rotary was very pleased, and myself personally to help you with the, as I said, the front end support, the crucial front end support that enabled you to achieve proof of concept. Your subsequent the fact that you've managed to attract a philanthropist of scale to continue the work and to build scale. There's a great degree of pride from both my own perspective, but certainly from the Rotary Club of St John's Ellerslie, a great degree of pride, Sam, that you have been successful in that space. And yeah, we look forward to continuing updates and watching your progress over the years. Something everyone's and many members of our club invested in, and that's both financially, but many of them emotionally invested in seeing Onja succeed.
So Rotary has many sort of components and spokes to it, and I see one of those as being a funder, just one of the spokes of Rotary. And if we talk about that, Rotary as a funder, what do you think makes them different to other funders?
Well, I think we sort of touched on that, but I think crucially, what Rotary enable and have enabled for Onja is that seed capital funding, that tough funding at the front end of your proposal, when there was a vision and there was a plan, but there wasn't proof of concept. So Rotary's ability to look past that and actually invest in the proposal and its people is pretty rare. And in retrospect, you experience that firsthand, how hard it is to secure capital in the absence of proof of concept. As I said, I think that's singularly that's the impact and power that Rotary brought to this to your proposal.
And perhaps finally, could you tell us a bit about the Rotary Club of St John's Ellerslie?
Yeah, sure. Look, Rotary is the Rotary Club of St John's Ellerslie. It's Auckland based, Auckland, New Zealand. Rotary has these broader districts. I think it's part of District 9920. As I said, Rotary is an international organisation, but its heft and its capability is very decentralised, and by that I mean it's actually the Rotary clubs themselves that are comprised of members. In our club, I think it sits at around about 50 members, and there are probably 30 to 40 Rotary clubs throughout Auckland, a city of 1.5 million. I may be underestimating that, actually, maybe 70 actually throughout wider Auckland, 70 clubs. But yeah, Rotary is full of like-minded men and women, almost 50-50, who are interested in their local communities, and providing funding or support for causes or projects that are of interest to them. And it's a whole lot of typically business people who want to give back to their local communities. The Rotary Club of St John's Ellerslie is precisely that. We're involved in many projects, and in fact have delivered many millions of dollars over its 40-year history, and have just, as I said, have enabled many projects, have provided countless hours of volunteering. Just community, like-minded, altruistic people who come together once a week to make a difference. That's pretty much Rotary in a nutshell. It's people want who who want a better community and a better place and space to live. So yeah, no, I think it's an awesome organisation. The only other an important differentiator I will share with Rotary, every dollar that a Rotary Club raises, there's no administration, there's no overhead, there's no costs. A dollar raised is directed to a project like Onja without deduction or overhead or contribution. It is truly an incredibly efficient way for, if you're ever looking at supporting an organisation, support Rotary, because they'll ensure that 100 cents in the dollar ends up in worthy, notable community projects, of which Onja is one. So well done, Sam.
Yes, thanks so much, Simon, and a big thank you from all of us for believing from the start and backing us and
Yeah,
having that vision that got us where we are today, and allowed
yeah.
us to have the impact we've had so far and the impact we'll continue to have into the future.
Rosemary and I are very much looking forward to getting over there one day, Sam, and being hosted by you in 5-star accommodation. And I'm teasing you. But look, as I said, from myself and on behalf of the Rotary Club of Ellerslie St John's, we're thrilled with the partnership. And I suppose you could describe it as a partnership in many ways.
So.
We didn't touch on that, Sam, but there's been other ways that our Rotary Club have supported Onja over the years, and that's included mentorship and English coaching and training, and lots of passionate people who wish you only the very best, and the organisation, and have been very proud to be part of it. So on that note, Sam, I have a beef brisket stew that has been quite quietly worked on by my daughter for the last 5 hours. That is smelling very good right now, and it's time for me to break and to enjoy dinner with family. You should be really proud of where you've taken the organisation, and as I said, you have our support and very best wishes as you continue to grow and scale. So well done, you, mate.
All right. Cheers. Thanks so much, Simon.
Okay, Sam.
Enjoy dinner.
Have a cool evening.
Yeah. All right. Bye.
I will do. Take care.
Cheers.
Cheers, mate. Bye.
Cheers.